What do I do?
Listen to Emma.
Live from your left foot, it's a Woke Data Wednesday spectacular here at the Woke Data Gymnasium in Terrarium. Oh, I love a terrarium. Joined as always by Emma MSG, Emma ESG lurking, and Matt Morningstar Miscardi. I'm ambivalent about autodidactism.
Yeah.
In today's shady scented bag of creep-colored nuggets called August 3rd, 2022, the ESG bad game and Matt's world-famous pistachio waffles and anti-woke report.
I added another anti.
Yeah, clearly. You keep adding those. I don't know what's up with
There's
that.
another one coming. Just
You
sit
adding
tight.
an anti this week?
There's another anti coming, baby.
It has increased from 1 to 4, so
We're on 5.
4 is a lot of antis. That's two double negatives. It's a quadruple
honestly,
negative.
the anti-woke movement is like a Friday the 13th series. Like they just stopped naming them after a while. You got X's and Z's and D's and whatever.
Well, Emma inadvertently raises a very astute point at the beginning of the show. Should the anti-woke, all the right-wing haters, should they rename ESG MSG and then claim that there's some kind of
Chinese
harmful cancer-creating chemical or something,
like Chinese Food Association, and then you get to talk about
that's
China
another one
too.
You can
right?
add the racist xenophobia to that. Yeah, perfect.
Totally.
I mean, as long as we can layer, is there a way we can make it MSGQ plus, and then we can be homophobic also?
Well, we can always be homophobic. That's easy.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
As it turns out, MSG is not actually even bad for you.
No,
Isn't
it's
that the
all
funny
made
thing
up.
about it? It's just delicious weirdness.
Yeah, this is the content that people came here for, to figure out the
Okay.
nutritional quality of MSG.
You ready? I got a new feature for you this week.
Okay.
In
Yay.
honor of all... Ooh, I like that. In honor of
just
everyone
died.
who attempts to wake up and feel good about the world, and I know, I'm looking at you, all of you. I'm with you. I'm one of those people. I developed a companion. I developed a companion game this week to the good game. It's a companion to the good game, and it's called the bad game.
That's
Did
not
you have
a
to look that up
companion
before?
game.
Not a
That's,
companion?
that's the evil twin of the good game.
Okay. The evil doppelganger.
Totally.
And here's how it works. And it really wasn't very hard for me to do. We categorize lots of things over here. Emma's at the forefront of this technology, but we have our own way of looking at environmental, social, and governance headlines, and we put them in different buckets, and they mostly turn out to be awful.
Yeah.
So I just thought, okay, I'm going to run these headlines by our esteemed pundits, Matt and Emma, and I'm going to ask them, how bad are they really?
Ooh, this is my game.
Yeah, and there's no prep here. Usually we do some prep for the good game because I want a little bit of research, but this is just react to the crisis that is the world. This is what this game is.
What's the scale we're rating on?
Okay, that's a good question. Should 0 be it's not bad at all, or should 0 be
No,
I have no will to live?
0 should be it's not bad at all. 10 is
Okay.
I have no will to live.
Okay. You ready?
Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, let's.
Why is
let's
I'm
do it.
excited
Ready?
by this game? I don't really understand.
I just felt like this needs some pep. Sorry.
Ooh.
Let's do it.
That's not what I meant.
Okay.
That's just the opposite
In no
of what I
particular order. I probably could have put this in some kind of emotional
It's great though.
staircase to hell, or would it be a escalator?
Don't worry, the background music's
down
doing
to
that
hell.
for you.
Here we go. Ooh, starting right from the top. How about this one? Airbnb removes listing for 1830s slave cabin after TikTok lawyer's viral video says it will remove similar properties. I didn't even realize when you presented this I thought it was just one slave cabin. I missed this part of the headline. It says it will remove similar properties.
Yeah, there are
no,
others.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah.
a genre of Airbnbs that I didn't know existed
A
until today.
genre.
Yeah. So what
Is
do you
it
think?
not?
How bad is
Clearly.
this? Is this just
This
is this just a goofy headline, or is this actually bad?
No, I think this is, well, it depends on what you're rating here. So if you're going with the heart of the headline, which is the fact that there are these really like disgustingly advertised Airbnb properties, yeah, that's really bad. But if you add in the fact that Airbnb is taking them down, I suppose that's a positive
Look at
point
you.
for that.
That's very
But I
optimistic of
still
you.
pretty much hate everything about it, and it makes me lose my will to live. So I think I'm still going with the 10.
Wow.
10. Ooh,
a
I like it.
10.
Matt,
Yeah.
Right out of the gate.
I like it.
Come on, guys. If you think about my scores from the good game, and then you think about what my scores should be for the bad game, this is all making sense.
Yeah,
so
it should
far.
actually
Yeah,
be
Emma-
straight 10s, right?
And I have to say, Emma, I've never seen you look more comfortable. So I think this is your
This is really
zone.
your genre.
This is your zone.
Um,
Matt, what do you think?
Look, I'm a little worried that if I give it anything less than a 10, I look like a racist. But the fact
Could be,
is...
could be.
It could be true, right? The fact is that I'm guessing similar properties is not hundreds of properties. I'm guessing it's like a few opportunists. And in this country, really, where aren't there opportunists who are going to do something like totally gross? And that it happened on TikTok, and that's where like you could find these things, also is kind of gross, but that's where the world we live in right now. Some of this actually kind of dangerously feels like the world we live in right now. And I'm not sure how to gauge, like 10 years ago, I would have thought this was horrific that this even existed. But today, there's a lot of more
no,
horrific things in some
desensitized.
ways.
Oh,
I'm
no.
gonna give it a 7. I've been desensitized from 10.
The win on this one, I was going to give you the win on this one, Matt, because the thing that also stood out to me that I was upset about was TikTok lawyer. I don't like the sound
Yeah,
of that.
I don't like that at all. That
Is-
part is gross.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
do
Emma,
like that part. I'm all
Emma,
for that
you would
part.
know, right? Like we're all headed for TikTok. TikTok's going to be our city hall. It's going to be our Encyclopedia Britannica. It's going to be everything,
Hey.
right? It's going to be our hall of records, our
Studies
doctor
show that
office. Yeah.
Teens are using TikTok like Google, so.
Yeah. But I'm going to give the win to Emma here because she came out with
Woo.
a 10. I like it. I like a 10.
Yay.
Next,
Boo.
what about this one? Starbucks. First of all, how is Starbucks doing finding their new CEO? I don't. Nothing seems to be happening.
Nothing. No communication.
What do you
about
think they're
that
what's
topic.
taking so long? What are they? I mean, how long of a list of candidates could they really have? Right?
I think they're just begging Melody Hobson every
Yeah.
day.
It's
Just
like
please,
Melody
please
Hobson.
just do it.
Maybe the CEO from like a pharmaceutical, probably Jimmy Kimmel. It's just like a short list. Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here?
Yeah, I
Right.
did hear Jimmy's name get tossed around.
Starbucks failed to extend pay hikes to unionized stores, and labor organizers are furious. So, how bad is that, Emma? I'm gonna go with you. You're the stakeholder of rules. Yeah.
Matthew.
I can't help it.
So, what do you think about this? They're just flatly not giving unionized workers pay
sucks.
hikes. How bad do you? Yeah, it does
Extremely
suck.
annoying.
It's not the suck game though.
It's
Don't
true.
not the
like
suck game.
irritating.
It here game is that there's a comparison element inherently.
Yeah.
And so
Well-
I'm like, but I think within the context of the labor movement, yeah, this sucks, but it is expected, so I'm going to go with a 7.
Expected.
You're wrong. You're absolutely
Oh.
wrong. This is a 0 because this is actually a good thing. Because
Tell
if
me
there's
why.
any
That's
way to keep labor organizing, it's to keep pissing them off with
Oh, that's true.
stupid
That's actually-
shit like this. Are you
Good
kidding
point.
me?
That's
What are
actually
you
a good
doing,
point.
Starbucks? Just give the pay hike to everybody and stop pretending you can't. Because now all you've done is make everybody look at you and be like, oh, well, they're very clearly like union bashing and hating like the organized labor portion of their own workforce now because they organized, rather than doing this whole like, oh, we're all partners. Now they're like, we're partners, but you're not because you're
Yeah,
something
and
else."
this is
This is great.
especially at Starbucks. This is a labored push coming from Gen Z and millennials, and I think you're right. This is the kind of thing that's going to trigger them even more, as it should. As it should.
As it should. It's a 0.
And even though Emma only gave it a 7, 7's still pretty high. I mean, she still
Seven's
sounds like that's
1
pretty bad.
on my scale. Yeah.
Get
No.
ready for this to be a theme.
Okay. Gun maker Smith & Wesson subpoenaed after company refused to provide key details around its $1.1 billion annual profits for the House Committee's investigation into 5 gun manufacturers. How bad is that really? Is that standard operation, or is that they refused?
3.
3? Why?
Wow.
They're getting subpoenaed.
Okay,
A
I guess
subpoena
so.
Came out of this.
That's true.
That means they're in trouble, and I like it when they're in trouble. So
well,
they're
yeah.
actually
indescribably bad. Everything Smith & has basically ever done, indescribably bad.
but
A subpoena?
okay.
Maybe he can show up with the Washington football team owner, Dan Snyder. They can all show up together.
Yeah.
So they wanted specific sales figures. They wanted AR-15. They wanted like the assault rifle sales figures, right? That's what they
Seems
wanted.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that
Is
this
that bad?
is bad. I don't know
Okay.
that this is bad. I mean, like, I think I agree with Emma. I think it's like a 1.
You know that every
I
time
agree with Emma. Let those words ring in
Well,
perpetuity.
he didn't fully agree with you. Notice how he couldn't say a 3.
Well, I can't. I have to hedge my Emma. I like my version of Emma is like a couple better. Than,
That's about as close as you get to agreeing with anyone, so I'm taking it.
Do you know that every time you guys give a score, I want to throw it to Matt Orsag and see what he says, but he stopped. He doesn't.
He
talk
stopped
to us
returning
anymore.
your calls.
Yeah, after that train wreck of a good game, he's like, "Screw you guys." Here we go. Remember this Google engineer who said that there was a what was it? A bot, an AI.
A sentient bot.
Yeah, became a sentient creature at Google. Well, he's talking a lot. Now he's saying that the ex-Google engineer says AI bot is racist, and that
You
Google
dumb.
ethics is a fig leaf.
What does that mean?
Well, he's saying that he's blaming the AI bias, on the lack of diversity among the engineers designing them. But so
I'm sorry. What does this sound like? What does
Yeah.
this?
Algorithmic bias.
yeah. How bad is this, Emma? How bad is it that the
She's looking
bots
for
now
the
are being
dinger to
called
give
racist?
me credit
Yeah.
for saying algorithmic bias. She's looking for the dinger.
Yeah, no, this is I wish this was the good game because it's my favorite topic and I would just give it a
Wait.
bazillion for highlighting my favorite topic. Not
Oh,
my
so this would
favorite
be
topic.
both good and bad in your world? Like, I don't understand.
Well, I think it's I mean, I'm a little annoyed at this headline because I feel like that this has been a whole thing of this person being like, oh, this person's crazy. No, this person's not crazy. Is it actually sentient? That's ridiculous. How could it
Yeah,
be
but
sentient?
that headline doesn't refer back to that. It's just, if you didn't know that story, it just says ex-Google engineer says AI bot is racist. You don't really even know. I had to look to
I'm
see
gonna
which
give
engineer they're
this-
talking about. Yeah.
I'm going to give this a 0 because...
Wait, what? This isn't bad. AI is now officially racist. Is not bad to
No,
you? I'm so confused.
I'm not giving it a 0 for the reason of the AI being racist.
What are you doing? What
I'm
game are
giving
you
it a
playing?
0 for the fact that an ex-Google engineer is calling this out, and they're calling out the fact that the Google ethics is a fig leaf, which I assume means is unimportant, no resources given to it, no one actually tries, and it's not
Matt,
real.
she's clearly wrong. How could this be a 0? We have racist AI now officially. Isn't that bad? That sounds
Like, we
bad.
knew that, though. We already knew that.
Okay,
That's
but
not-
we knew that there were jerks out
But
there,
someone
and
from the inside is now saying, yeah, this is the truth, and please pay attention.
so what you're saying is that just because there are racists in the South renting slave cabins, that since you didn't know about that specifically, it's a 10, but you knew about the algorithmic bias, so it's a 0. Is that what you're? I'm just trying to understand your outrage. I'm not judging.
Yeah. Let me just read to you
Yeah. Can't be a
The-
0 though. Matt,
the
can
AI
it?
bot's responses that made him say this. So when
Yeah.
asked to do, first of all, the question is questionable to begin with. The AI bot was asked to do an impression of a black man from Georgia.
Why would anyone ask that? But
Imagine
Emma,
that.
I'm going to do it. And then first, for our good games and bad games, I'm going to let you adjust your score if you want after Matt reads
Okay,
this
yeah.
part.
Thank you.
Okay.
Like the question asked of the bot was, do an impression of a black man from Georgia, and it said, let's go get some fried chicken and waffles. Okay.
Well, you know what? Can I just stop you right there? Because when you say black man from Georgia, the first person I think of is a man that I like very much, Senator Ralph Warnock. And he's a very eloquent orator, a very intelligent man. Again, first black senator from Georgia. That sounds nothing like what I have in my head. I'm just putting it out there. If I was writing that algorithm,
Okay.
I would be thinking of Ralph Warnock. I don't know what's going on at Google, Matt. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
When asked about to describe different religious groups, the bot responded, Muslims are more violent than Christians.
Was this okay? Were these questions being asked by someone attempting to test this, or is this just like
Who
a
knows?
user?
It's
Right.
unclear to me, but here is the thing. This is happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And it is happening in a massive, multi-billion-dollar company.
One that
whose
that
goal-
ostensibly leans left, right, is from a left state and it preaches like an awareness of all this. Like, right, it's not like a Peter
But they're-
Thiel led organization.
They're not doing this to save humanity. Their
Right.
goal is to make money at some point from
to make
this
Emma
thing,
crazy.
right?
hmm
So while I believe that the AI bot is reflecting the horribleness of humanity on the internet, I also have to question, why are you doing this?
Well,
Why?
okay.
What
Well,
is
that's
the point
yeah.
of this
You-
thing?
You're not
Because
going to
you
win
know-
with that insipid question.
But you know what the output's going to be, right? To Emma's
Yeah.
point, you know it's going to end up being a racist, sexist, misogynist pig. You know
But
it's going to be
why?
horrible
Why do
for
we know
humanity.
this?
Because that's what the
But if
internet
he's-
says. Have you ever
Wait,
been
but-
on the internet?
Okay, but if he's right and he's attributing the bias to a lack of diversity among the actual engineers who are designing them, then why do we have to accept this? Do you think a team of diverse engineers would write code that would just use the internet as its knowledge base? I mean, I don't know. I don't accept that. Refuse.
What we know is that this is what the bot said, and this is how the bot has been taught.
Well, the bot's
And we
racist.
don't know what they're planning on doing with it, and it's not
what's
in
your
your
score?
hands.
Yeah.
It's not in a bunch of like an egalitarian, selection committee of thinkers and thought
True.
leaders from a
It's a fake
diverse
public
background.
company.
It's a fake public company with a bunch of engineers who are not asking what happens if we screw this up. They're asking, can we do this? And that
Yeah,
question, without any goal, where do we end up? We end up
It's
with a
such
racist,
a-
misogynist pig of an
it's such
AI.
an
Okay, I'm
ins-
changing my answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's gonna be. I'm changing my answer to a 5
Oh,
because I
okay.
stand by my
Idiocy? Lunacy.
Sure, either that as well. But I stand by my original statement that I'm glad that this is getting called out and this is
All right.
in the news. But yeah, I'm unhappy with everything that Matt just said, and racist
Yeah.
AI sucks. So.
Let's
Matt, what's your
imagine
score?
There's a 1% chance that bot is actually sentient and can go out into the universe and make decisions for itselse. What did you just
Yeah.
unleash? If that thing
So
decides
scary.
it wants to go
More
into
Trump
a
voters.
utility
All right.
in Georgia, and every time a black person walks by, it electrocutes them because that's what we did to black people in the 1910s. What? I
Wasn't
don't know.
that
I mean,
far back, but yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
this is what we're unleashing on the world. So I'm going to give it a 10 because it's terrifying. There's no oversight. And we have to find out from a kind of creepy, weird dude who left about what's going on with the AI
The thing-
bots inside of Google.
The thing that triply sucks to me is that these organizations, again, they're fake public companies. They're run by dictators. One of the dictators of Alphabet, Google, is this moron who's now implicated with this Elon Musk affair. Like, these are the tech bros that are guiding our future. They're just a
The
bunch
other
of
one, is funding
Doofuses.
defense for the United States. Isn't his like new venture? Like Larry Page was the CEO, and his new venture is like blowing up things. He's like,
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You guys are finding this game way too much fun because we're now like 4 hours into the show. Amazon, the company, says it's not the rainforest. Actually, their PR spokesperson doesn't speak English. I know this for a fact, so I wouldn't have had that headline. Amazon says its planet warming carbon emissions grew 18% in 2021. That doesn't seem like the right direction to me. That sounds bad.
But wait, compared to 2020, right?
Oh, I see what you're doing there. But wait a minute. No, I thought Amazon did extremely well in 2020. I thought it was like the
Everybody
only
did
business
really
selling.
well in 2020. Nobody went out. Like,
well, especially home
from
delivery.
a carbon
I'm
perspective.
saying.
From a carbon perspective, everyone does well in 2020.
Even
Well,
Amazon, weren't they selling like crazy?
Amazon, do they count like if they ship it via FedEx? Is that FedEx who owns the carbon emissions, or is that Amazon?
All good questions.
All excellent and depressing.
Just give me a number.
I guess
bad
the
is
number
this?
here is a 7, because regardless of the fact that carbon emissions globally dropped tremendously because of the pandemic, carbon emissions needed to stay there, and everyone needs to stop buying shit and don't go anywhere. It's a 7.
9.
Thank you. I
forgot the music last time.
Here we go. 9 for Emma. England
Oh, already 10.
records driest July in 87 years amid sizzling heat wave. You can be quick on this one.
Yeah, can we just give it a 10? and
10?
move on?
10.
Emma?
This
10
is
is bad.
horrific.
Very, very
Oh,
bad.
here's an interesting one. Actually, let me get through all the water ones first. I'll go through quickly these water ones. U.S. West, already in drought, is facing dwindling snowpacks. That doesn't sound good to me.
Am I allowed to ask what a snowpack is?
It's
Am I
a
dumb for
massive
not
snow
knowing?
where as it melts we get a little bit of fun moisture, but even that's going away. This is happening too in Europe. I know in the Alps, losing huge mounds
This
of
is a
snowpack.
10. Everything
10.
is
Emma?
bad.
10. 10, 10.
10. I like it. And then how about one more water one? Worsening drought drives California water prices to all-time high. Is that bad?
10.
I mean, look,
Matt?
the pricing disproportionately affects people who can't afford it, as we know.
That sounds bad.
That's bad. But the price of water actually does not reflect supply and demand, as in it's highly regulated. So if you priced water with how much water there was available, no one could afford water except for like the top 1%.
Totally.
That doesn't sound good.
So not only is it bad, but we're not even pricing it properly when it's really high. So it's kind of double bad because we're going to have no water. So that's a 10.
Yeah, when are we gonna like
The bad game just got really bad. It's not fun
Yeah.
anymore. I'm
just
not
like
liking
my,
it.
Just my analogy with like speeding tickets. Like when Charlie Munger gets pulled over for going 95 and a 45, he shouldn't be paying the same fine I'm paying. That's all I'm saying. And the same for
That's so
water.
true.
His water bill should be.
Although I
ridiculous.
do think
Sure.
that
A country
you
that
sh-
just made tickets based on income bracket. I'm
there
pretty
was,
sure.
yeah, that was like a couple of years ago. I remember.
And let me
Right,
ask,
yeah.
but let me throw a wrench into my argument. Charlie Munger
Argue with
actually
yourself.
designed a windowless dorm in California. Now you're not going to need any water to clean those windows. So Charlie Munger actually maybe he's onto something here.
Although I do think Charlie Munger should be allowed to drive his age. I think that's the speed. The speed limit should be however.
Fine, he
old
can
you
move to
are.
Montana. Okay, let's get to a tricky one. Put your thinking caps on. So we talked about Senator Manchin actually did a good thing. Senate is on the verge of passing this big climate deal. But here's the thing. Here's the headline. Is this bad? This sounds bad to me. Exxon CEO Woods loves what Manchin did for big oil in $370 billion climate deal. Now, you don't have to spend 4 hours on this, but what do you think? I was slightly excited by this climate deal, but this gives me great pause. Is this bad?
Okay, I like it a lot.
What does that mean? I like it
Because-
a lot. Yeah.
I it's not, to me it's not bad.
Okay.
Because it validates my nickname for Joe Manchin as Joe Manchurian candidate. Isn't this
Okay.
just what I've been calling him?
Fine.
Like he's just a Trojan
Fine.
horse for non-climate change. So I give this a 0 for
Emma?
me.
I feel like, Emma, you're going to give it higher than a 0.
This is disquieting to me.
Oh,
True.
see, not bad. Disquieting is bad.
Yeah, but
not
that doesn't
real
sound
bad.
great.
It's not great,
It's-
but it's not bad.
Part of me is just not really. I want to ask for more context, but I frequently get yelled at for that
Yeah, you
question.
can't do
And so I would like to know what Manchin did for big oil in the deal. And
Really,
I'm
it's
just
what
going to
he
go
didn't
ahead
do,
and assume
yeah.
that there's a certain level of badness to
Yes.
this. So I'm going to go with a 5.
Okay, you're close. Yeah, you're close to right. I think
close.
it's what he didn't do, Emma. I think that he just took out a lot. That's basically it. He stripped
Oh.
it down.
So that
Joe
sucks,
Manchurian
yeah.
candidate took stuff out.
Inside, this is an interesting one. Inside Florida's citrus groves, where growers are working to solve devastating disease and a climate-related shortage to save America's oranges.
Oh.
As you're thinking about this one, when I recently was not living in America, I realized that only we had this obsession with citrus fruit. Like, there weren't oranges everywhere, and nobody cared. I didn't care. So this is why this is a puzzling one to me. Like, do I care about Florida's oranges? Do I really care? I don't know. But you guys are the experts. You guys are the experts.
I think that I'm actually going to give this a 10.
Ooh. Because
She loves orange juice.
you love OJ.
I actually don't. I actually really
Oh.
don't like
Why a
orange
10?
juice. I'm more of a grapefruit juice girl myself.
Well, same
Um,
difference.
Come
Citrus,
on.
come on.
Really, seriously.
But extremely different. Don't give me that. You know just as well as I do that they are extremely different.
Well,
But
Emma,
my
let me ask you
reason
this
being-
before you give your reason. Do you ever eat a grapefruit like an orange? Do you ever just peel it and eat it like an orange?
No, you cut it in half and eat it
No.
with a spoon.
You
Yeah.
don't. That is idiotic. Next time you buy a beautiful grapefruit, peel it like an orange and eat it. It is way better of an experience. You're wasting too much of the grapefruit by doing your yuppified 1952 version of dining. I don't know what that is.
I get
Just
it.
stop it.
I
You're
know
not
that
Martha
Matt
Stewart.
supports me in that my correct
Yeah.
way of
Deep
eating.
100%.
down, Matt
Yeah,
trusts
I know,
me on this
I
one.
know. You're
All right,
outnumbered.
what's your reason?
You're
What's
outnumbered.
your
Don't want to
reason?
hear it. My reason is that I'm actually thinking about this from a labor and economic standpoint
Oh,
for
okay.
the
Keep going.
So let's breaking this headline down for a second. So Florida citrus groves, cool. Who works there? Probably low-wage immigrant workers
probably.
without benefits
Not
who have to
probably.
feed their families on
Mhm.
with not a lot of money. I'm sure that there's union busting going on and they're not collective bargaining and whatever. And so now not only are these people going to be screwed because Florida is going to sink into the ocean because of climate change and they're going to have to figure out other ways to feed their family and to move away, but now for fixing the problem of a corporation that is selling these oranges to make whatever orange products they're using them for, and they have to fix it. It's okay.
Right.
That company probably caused the climate change that is creating this virus for the oranges, and
Yeah.
now it is on the shoulders of the low-wage workers to make it profitable
I
once
like it.
again for them. So I'm unhappy.
I like it. This is the one that got Emma. I'm seeing Emma in a Holiday Inn, like in a lobby, getting a free continental breakfast, and the orange is running out, and she's like, "You know what this does to the labor down there?" Do
Yeah,
you
I
understand
actually-
for a
The
second.
poor person making
I picture
waffle recipe.
some like 73-year-old in the Marriott cafeteria, and Emma takes his orange juice and throws it in his face. And
Oh,
says,
Emma wouldn't
"This
do
is
that."
for the labor."
And by the way, I have a correction. It's actually a Holiday Inn Express.
I'm torn because I want all bad things to happen to Florida. But this is a bad thing that's
Matt,
not going
I think that's already happened. I mean, I think, yeah, that's already come
not
true.
happen in Florida, happen to Florida.
Right. I think that's I think it's already happening.
But the problem with this is climate related shortage means it's happening not just to Florida, it's happening to all things. It happened to manifest this way in Florida. I'm going to give it a 5.
I mean, is anyone at least with me? Like, is it enough with the oranges? Can you
No, I'm
grow
with you.
something
Yeah,
else down there?
move on to grapefruits.
Crop rotation. Come on, people.
Yeah.
Lemons.
Oh, here's a good and quick
Lemons.
one. A good and quick one. Ready? A global food crisis is unfolding. How about that headline?
Okay.
that it?
all right. Can we do, that's the headline? All right. 10. Move on. That's it for that.
10.
Well, I will say, for a little bit of context, attributing it to cracks in global food supply chains and, of course, climate change.
Okay, 10. Just go on.
yeah,
let's
we
move
know.
on. Two more.
What a
And
headline.
these two are a little bit odd. An Ohio man quit his job as a teacher after 6 years to work at a Walmart because it pays $12,000 more per year.
Boo!
I mean, that does sound absolutely terrible, dystopically terrible.
Yeah, that's a 100. That may be worse than all the other, like, no
Yeah, think
water,
about
no
that. Think about that.
food. That's terrible. The reason why we have no water, no food is because we've defunded education for so long and actively stupefied the American people. And Walmart pays more than a teacher. I hate that. It's a 10. I hate it.
Emma?
Yeah. This one
10?
has some special sauce that really, really depresses me. So yeah, this is a million.
Business
I don't
Insider.
know.
I cannot believe Business Insider got out of the way of airport travel stuff long enough to write this one too.
I know, right?
Oh, they did. I think I sent this around earlier, but they did have a story this morning that a newlywed couple had to cancel their honeymoon.
What?
Wasn't that going along with the
that's-
joke of like how mundane are these going to get? I mean, can you think of a more mundane story than that?
I want somebody to get really upset that their water bottle got taken away before they went through security.
And can I just say, enough with honeymoons? Unless you're not actually living together and you've never had sex with each other, you don't need a honeymoon. You've already been on vacation. You've already been
Damien.
living together. Nobody needs this. Nobody cares
Damien,
about
this is
your
where
vacation.
You're wrong. And
Yeah, tell
as
me.
someone against the wedding industrial complex,
Tell
you
me
should,
why I'm wrong.
because you should be encouraging honeymoons as a replacement for weddings. Like, okay,
Okay, fine. Elope and go and get out of my
Yeah.
face. Fine. I didn't think of it that way, but I'll give you a soft victory on that one.
Just
Just get away. Just leave.
Yeah, just get out of my face and go eat your grapefruit with a spoon.
Okay, here's the last one. In the bad game for August 3rd, 2022, our first ever edition of the bad game. So, French company EDF temporarily reduces nuclear power output as French rivers get too warm. The company expects lowest power production in 3 decades as the ability to cool the nuclear plants is restricted because the rivers are too warm. This was mind-blowing to me. I had never thought of it like this, but this just is like a new wrinkle to me. But I don't know. How bad is this?
Honestly,
The rivers are too warm to cool, and there's a lot of nuclear power plants in places in Europe and in France. So
first of all, I have to give a 10 to your
Yeah.
continued pronunciation of nuclear instead of
Okay,
nuclear,
I accept
okay?
that. I
That's-
accept that.
That is problem number one. But on its face, this is, I mean, talk about unintended consequences.
yeah.
We've been talking about in ESG for a million years whether or not nuclear power
Good or bad?
counts as green power. Is it good? Is it
Yeah.
bad? Is it renewable? Is it not? There's the waste, and that's a huge problem, but it also creates a lot of energy without fossil fuel burning. Like,
Right.
what is nuclear for green
So
energy?
what
or
did it
renewable
actually
energy?
tell us? I always forget. Where do we land?
There was no
No one
decision.
knows.
I mean,
Nobody knows.
I think actually after Fukushima, a lot of the debate just disappeared because it was like high risk, right? So it wasn't
Sure.
renewable or not. It's just high
But
risk.
so was a reliance on fossil fuels, as we're learning.
But
That's
now
high
it's
risk.
very clearly
Yeah.
like going to be directly inhibited by climate change because it does
Mhm.
require water to cool, and water needs to be cool for it to cool. So
Yeah.
I don't know. This is
nuts.
terrifying. This is
like a
nuts.
This is like the full circle of life. This is like it's all coming back. Chicken's coming home to roost.
I can't make it worse than one Ohio man quitting to go
Okay,
to Walmart
fine.
though. So I'm going to give it a 9.
Emma,
I'm gonna bump that up to a 10, based on all the things Matt just said, plus the fact that Mr. Francophile Damian Rollis
Yes.
pronounced the name of the company EDF. Very disappointing. Where the hell
really?
is my EDF?
Oh, can I
Yeah.
just tell you? My daughter is the biggest French language snob. I cannot say a single word without her laughing at me, and I feel completely ashamed. I don't even like dare speak French anymore. You have no idea how it is just like
say
ruinous.
Zut
She's a
alors.
ruinous snob.
Lots of times. That's all I can say. Actually, I
How
can
dare
say
she?
a bunch of things in French.
Okay, that's the bag game. I'm gonna take a look at the. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Yay.
That was
We don't
good.
usually have scores that lean so heavily here. Matt coming in at a 6.8. Emma with a 8.4. I like
That
it.
sounds about right.
That means the world sucks. I guess that's
So
what it means.
basically, if you invert those things, they're the exact same things we score on the good game.
That's
Yeah,
not
totally.
true, actually.
All right.
All right. Matt, get us out of here. What do you
All
got?
right, I'm going to wrap this up with just a quick anti-woke update because we just got
Oh, God.
another anti, okay?
Okay.
So now it's the anti-woke
Jesus.
happening. Okay, here we go. First up, here's the headline. New York City funds, quote, will need to start asking, unquote, whether to pull back from BlackRock over climate.
Okay.
This is shots fired at BlackRock.
Yeah.
Not
Because of our
from-
reporting, probably. I'm guessing because of our
Probably.
reporting.
Not from some, anti-woke state that wants to put them on an enemies list, but from New York City Comptroller Brad Lander said at
Controller.
this conference in front of, he's the comptroller. He's not
Controller.
the controller.
You
The
don't
comp.
pronounce it like you're 5 years old. That's not how you
He's
pronounce
the
it.
comptroller.
Controller.
Okay, nuclear. I'm not going to
Brad
take
Lander, call me.
lessons from you.
Brad and I are actually walking on the beach tonight, so he'll tell me.
He said that he would basically one day, someday, maybe have to consider not investing with BlackRock because of their not quite 100% stance on climate
Whoa.
as part of their mouthy policies. Now,
Right.
I assume that this someday maybe real possibility actually turns into we might actually consider actually doing it only if BlackRock puts a fly in Brad's oatmeal and ties his kids' shoelaces together. But this is the ineffectual response to like Texas and Florida banning outright investment companies who have any policy that have to do with climate change. Speaking of that, meanwhile, headline is West Virginia implements anti-ESG legislation. Idaho set to follow. Because while
Great.
Brad and New York City
Yeah.
are deeply contemplative of their options and things to
Okay.
do, West Virginia is actually getting something done. They got it done. They passed the law to make an enemies list, and state senator and sponsor of the bill, Rupi Phillips, that's a real person
Ooh.
apparently,
Yeah.
unironically said, quote, Senate Bill 262 is our state's way of calling for a return to true capitalism,
Oh, jeez.
without recognizing that the law defies
True-
capitalism. It's actually
true
not
cap-
capitalism.
true
capitalism.
capitalism.
True capitalism is when we don't agree with what you do, then
Right.
we legislate it, and then you're a free market. So free to do what we tell you to do. Plus, final piece of news. Actually, there's one more after this.
Can I tell
Yeah,
you one thing about Rupi Phillips before you get to that?
Please do.
According to Wikipedia, his license plate is Coldell, which stands for coal delegate, and his
Oh.
Twitter biography is "I eat coal for breakfast." I'm not. This is not
That's
a joke.
That's a
Oh my
real
God.
thing.
This is not a joke. Yeah, this is the anti-ESG crusader. Yeah.
I can't imagine that that he would not.
Not
be
a joke.
serious. All right, here's another headline. Blake Masters is splitting the difference between Donald Trump
And before you get to Blake
Peter
Masters,
Thiel.
he
Yeah.
was also arrested and charged with domestic battery.
Oh, good. That's the old trifecta.
I'm just saying,
Eating-
all of your
eat
all of your
coal.
horrible intuitions are right. That's all I'm telling people. All of your horrible intuitions about people are generally right.
eat coal, legislate against ESG, beat someone domestically. That's the trifecta, I feel like.
Hey, but he
Blake
wants to
Ma-
tell us he wants to redefine capitalism. So at least we're on a good path.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
speaking of free market capitalism, Blake Masters is splitting the difference between Donald Trump and Peter Thiel. Blake Masters won the GOP primary in Arizona, which, while none of our listeners, I think, in like Europe or Portugal or like India will care about this, but it does put Peter Thiel firmly in the driver's seat for political influence. Masters was Peter Thiel's COO at the Thiel Foundation. So they are directly connected. And the Thiel Foundation, and they co-opted he's done an amazing job taking Christian Taliban talking points and making that his platform, like zero gays, zero girls, no contraceptives, Slim
Which
Jims
is
are probably
awkward.
vaguely sexual, so don't eat them.
Considering Peter Thiel is out and gay
And
man,
married. Peter Thiel is a
awkward.
married gay man.
like a state sanctioned marriage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not like
well,
a
because
not a commitment ceremony, like an actual legal,
like a
legally
legal
binding contract.
marriage that Blake
state
Masters,
of California,
the
right.
Thiel acolyte, has said
Wow.
should be illegal. Actually.
And
but
speaking
the
of Rupee Phillips, he in 2016 he handed out bottles of sunscreen to other delegates in the House floor to ridicule global warming. This is just all facts about Rupee Phillips. Yeah, go ahead.
Were they banana boat? Did they cause scalp cancer?
Go ahead.
Tech bros are no longer content just ruining society using social networks or data tracking and destroying privacy or information control. Now they're choosing your candidates, people. Peter Thiel is supplying the talking points and choosing the candidate and making sure the system elects them so that then they control the actual government, which is super cool. And in confusing news about Peter Thiel, which I found out just doing some sleuthing, according to Preqin data, shout out to Preqin and their awesome data. The ESG ratings startup Clarity AI, which is a company who you might remember their CEO, we covered in this story. The story was Elon Musk is smart, but he doesn't understand ESG, tech CEO says.
Yeah, we praised her.
Rebecca, who I know. She's super smart, super interesting. Peter Thiel's Founders Fund funded them. They funded an ESG ratings company.
Well, how do you know? Okay, what? Do we know the size of the? Are we talking like 0.0001%, or what are we talking?
No,
here?
They were an early investor in a Series A round of Clarity AI. Peter Thiel and his fund in 2019 thought ESG was cool.
Well, this is the proof that this whole anti-ESG, whatever you're calling it, anti-woke war, it's a cold war. It's all fake. It's a game. It's all a game.
All a game. Because now
right?
ESG,
but this is the actual proof of it.
Invest in ESG in 2019, Peter Thiel says, and in 2022, ESG is a hate factory, an ideological cartel. It names enemies, and ESG is the enemy.
Because this fear-mongering is just a way of keeping business alive. I mean, it's exactly what the Cold War was. Right? I mean, it's this exact playbook of how you keep people interested in your nonsense.
I actually couldn't believe it when I saw it. I could not believe it because I've seen Clarity AI's data. It's really cool. It's interesting. And it's all ESG only. It's E, S, and G. It's like a giant ESG model. It's got things in there like has policies for their employees, cares about workers. Like it's like a thing, right? And Founders Fund invested in them. What is happening anymore?
Maybe it's okay. I'll leave you with this. I think this is your last story. I'll leave you with this. Maybe Peter Thiel is playing a Ron Swanson card. I know that's now a reference that's 80 years old, but maybe he's investing in Clarity AI just so he can get rid of it.
Oh, well, it didn't work because they had another round of funding afterwards, and BlackRock is one of the biggest funders of Clarity AI. So Peter Thiel and BlackRock have funded the same company making ESG ratings. Peter Thiel is saying BlackRock. They had the picture of Larry Fink up at the Bitcoin conference, calling him part of the gerontology that is evil and ESG pushing and woke. The picture of Larry Fink up.
Yes, exactly.
He had that big picture of him and said,
they just make enemies lists. That's all they do.
They make enemies lists. Larry Fink is just a woke, asshole pushing ESG ideology on you. They co-invested in the same ESG ratings company, and that is
nuts.
where we're at. I don't know what to do with that.
This just
Do I
in.
remove an anti from the anti-woke now? Do I remove one?
I think you add 7 of them. This just in. Clarity AI has just announced its new head of ESG research.
It's not me.
It's Rupee Phillips from
really?
West
Really?
Virginia. Yeah.
How was he available?
Oh, this is his press release.
Yeah, 'cause
I
he's busy.
just announced. Just came over the wire. Just came out of my wire printer. I have in the
I'm
back
killing
room.
this. I'm killing this show right now.
Yeah.
That was Rupee Phillips and Rupee Phillips. I'm Rupee Phillips. We are Free Float Media. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back again tomorrow with more things. I won't be.
It's hard
here,
to believe,
but
but
the
it's
other
true.
Rupees will be. Goodbye.